Your soul chose to incarnate in this physical form for a very specific reason. And it is your job, it is your responsibility to find out what that reason is. Because once you know your purpose, your reason that you're here on earth right now, your mission becomes so much stronger. Your courage, your willingness to do whatever it takes becomes so much stronger. So don't forget that. Your life holds so much meaning. Your life has so much purpose.
Welcome to another mind and heart opening conversation on Just Tap In. I'm your host, Emilio, and today we will be defining and creating a blueprint for a new masculinity to come into the world right now. Because as we've seen in the past, this patriarchy that has ruled over our society, ruled over our systems, has destroyed and discreated so much of the beauty and the balance in the world. And I believe we're at a time where the divine feminine is making a reappearance, a reemergence right now. But for that, we need a new man to step up, a man who is embodied in their purpose, a man who is embodied in their presence, in their confidence. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about today with Jordan Candlish. Guys, this is a dude that I highly admired. He came across my life through social media. I started binging his TikTok videos, which have taken the world by storm because he's teaching men deep embodiment practices, how to show up in their life with their hearts on their sleeves. This is a person who he left the life of the corporate world at a top accounting firm and decided to go become a meditation teacher, corporate mindfulness instructor. And he was helping people get out of their heads. He was teaching people how to get to the next level of their performance. But along the way, he found this power of speaking about the new masculinity that is emerging in the world right now. And this is exactly what I wanted to share with you guys today, because this is a world that is changing and we need a new man. We need a man that is in his purpose, a man that can treat women better, a man that knows how to cultivate self-love from within and be able to face death, be able to face adversity, be able to face pain and transmute that into becoming a man that is a warrior, that is a lover, that is a magician, that is a king, for this divine feminine to reemerge in the world and give this a complete turnaround, because the systems that we're living in are no longer working. So Jordan Candlish, I'm really excited for you guys to hear all about his story. It's inspired me so much on literally what I do with this podcast. I've seen the way that he shows up with his content, the way his presence, his consciousness, and all the things that he puts out in the world has inspired me immensely. And I just wanted to share this with you guys and know that this deep wisdom will awaken a lot of things within you. So make sure to take out a pen, take notes. We're going to go through a wild journey in this episode. So before we move on, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because we'll be having more of these types of conversations to come. And don't forget to like this video. It really helps us reach new people. And now, without further ado, Jordan Candlish. Jordan Candlish, welcome to the podcast, brother. What are you most excited about today?
Emilio, it's great to be here, bro. And today I am most excited about creating something unique and special through this transmission that we get to have together right now, but also what's about to be created in my life with being here in Toronto and some new connections that I've made out here. So much to be excited about, but I'm excited to just be here with you right now, bro. This is it.
Yeah. We'll definitely dive into that shift that we're both going through right now. But first, I was just tuning into where can we start? Because there's a lot of places for two young men. We can talk about, women, we can talk about porn, all these different things. But what I really wanted to ask you to begin to start off with is to acknowledge what is the current state of the masculine energy in the world right now, and why have maybe we've seen this energy feel a bit weaker than in past times in history.
Mm-hmm. The current state of the masculine energy, in my opinion, is that it's changing. There's something shifting. as we step more into conscious masculine energy, which I feel the feminine has been yearning for so long. There's females on this planet who've been suppressed for so long that they are now yearning for men to step forward, to have the courage to lead in a way that we haven't seen before, right? There's been this masculine energy that has led this earth in a toxic way that has created a lot of disharmony. It's created a lot of pain, to be honest, bro. And I think that's a lot of the pain we're experiencing in this world right now is coming from this old masculine that's phasing out. We're done with that. So we're seeing more and more men putting their hand up and saying, I'm done with this harm, this disconnection, this pain that I'm experiencing. I'm done with it. So I think like what I'm trying to share and put out to the world is that there is another way. Like there is an easier way. And I'm seeing more and more men just like step forward. And nothing lights me up more than seeing a fellow brother like you, man, on this path, trying to make the world better, trying to be a better leader for our families, for our communities, for our friends. And it's the men, bro, that need to step up because we hold the most power. We hold the most power. And when it's led with embodiment and consciousness, we have the ability to change the world. And it is happening. I can see it. But it can be easy to get pulled into the dark, right? There's a lot of darkness as well right now. I'm sure you could speak to that as well, but yeah, that's how I see the masculine energy right now.
Yeah. And one of those things, like when I reflect upon when I was growing up, I was really in tune with my emotional side. Like I would always be probably the first one to step up and cry, for example, in a group of other people. But as time went by, as I became a teenager, as I went to high school, I would always find myself with that urge to show emotion. And through conditioning, through programming, through how society has viewed men for so many years, I suppressed that ability completely. So I think a lot of that with the masculine nature that you're talking about is this suppression of emotions. And maybe we can get into like how those emotions start getting suppressed in the first place so people can kind of unpack where that blockage is coming from.
Yeah, I have a lot of good friends that are Colombian, and Colombians are naturally very emotional and expressive, and I love it. It's a gift. And the suppression of that really comes from conditioning. It's a belief system that we got told that you have to be strong. You have to push through pain. You have to not let your feelings get in the way of you achieving and getting the things done. And that served us for a period of time, a period of the human evolution that was necessary, right? To get out of that Great Depression era, to get out of the World War era, there had to be this like level of shutting down of our emotional experience, disconnect from it altogether and just like push through the pain. So now it's about, in our generation, it's about going into that and acknowledging that there's so much more intelligence in the body, in our emotions. And when we learn to unlock that, it's like, wow, there is a new consciousness that's being born from that. So it's from our parents, but no judgment towards our parents. What they taught us was necessary, but now it's up to us to take it another step further. And that's going to require some discomfort. It's going to require us breaking generational trauma that's been passed down, which is why right now is such a pivotal time. And as millennials, dude, we're the ones. We're the ones that we're breaking the chains. This is it. So yeah, it's shifting. I can feel it. But you're right. Yeah. Feelings, going into our feelings. That's where all the growth is.
Yeah. And after tuning into your content for a while, it's really interesting because I heard you speak on like, sometimes you just turn on the camera and see what comes through. We've had a lot of channelers on the podcast. I sometimes have tried to implement that, just what wants to come through when my throat chakra, when that energy center is open, what wants to come through me. And I think the podcast, it's been a great vehicle and tool to help open up and express myself authentically for many people who have podcasts like yourself as well. But one of the key words that I've been learning and tuning into has been that intuition, which, we've always associated the feminine and the female as being like super intuitive, and they are highly intuitive. But I feel like as men, we're also learning how to leverage that gift. So maybe how is that intuitive nature began to unlock for you in your life?
Yeah. And I totally agree. Like once your intuition starts to lead the way, it's almost like you just surrender to what's coming through. You just surrender, and you're more getting pulled rather than pushing through life. And for a long time, I was pushing my way through life. Went to university, studied business, accounting and finance, worked as an accountant, and none of that shit came easy to me, dude. I was like pushing my way through university, pushing my way through my corporate job. I was like, man, it's got to be another way. And the reason why it was so difficult for me, because I was out of alignment with my soul, out of alignment with my intuition. So a big part of the reprogramming for me was letting go of the conditioning, letting go of the emotions that were blocking me from accessing the intuition. A lot of it is anxiety and shame that we're holding on to. And once you do that inner work, that clearing process, what's back there is this voice. I call it a voice. It starts as a whisper. The whisper for me was like, quit your job. This isn't for you. Quit your job and just travel. Yeah. Started off as a whisper. Months went by. The whisper gets louder and louder until it's like it's yelling at me. Quit your job. Just travel. Just be free. And it just took me some time to get some courage to listen to that intuition. And as soon as I did, as you know, life just goes, okay, cool. I got you. Here's the next opportunity. Here's the next breadcrumb. And you just keep going. So I think a lot of people are so disconnected from that voice, that intuitive voice, that they're just shutting it down to pay the bills. And then they're missing out on there's so many opportunities, the synchronicities, the beauty of life. So for me, it was about removing or letting go of what was getting in the way. And then it naturally just comes through. Yeah.
And that leap of faith that you're talking about, that you took, not a lot of people get into a place like Deloitte, one of the top accounting firms in the world. And, on the outside, everyone's telling you like, bro, you fucking made it. You're here. And that whisper starts coming. So a lot of people who might be picking up on that whisper and have yet to make that leap of faith. In another interview that I heard with you was, what really helped sustain you was developing and cultivating a connection with spirit, a connection with source, with God, universal energy, whatever word people want to use. But I've found that in my life, when I know that I'm held like that, like I can take the jump, I can go against, have a university graduate degree and everyone is in KPMG, Deloitte, boom, 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 all those firms. And I'm here doing a podcast. I know that since I've cultivated this strong communion with spirit, with God, that nothing's going to happen to me. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. There can be adversities, there could be pain, but all those things are there for the growth of my soul and my evolution. So let's talk about, this communion with your spirit. When did that start for you?
Oh man, thanks for sharing that. I love that. That shit lights me up. Lights me up because once you've got that, you're free. Once you have that, it's like so much courage gets unlocked in your life because you can't fail. How could you possibly fail if life is always going to catch you, dust you off and be like, here's another lesson for you on your path. And you go, okay, cool. No matter what I do, I'm going to be held. I'm going to be loved. No matter what, I'm going to be loved by something so much greater than me. How much freedom does that give? And it just gets stronger and stronger. So I feel communing with that place is so important, whether it's through a practice like meditation or whether it's some sort of ritual you have in your life to be able to daily commune with your God, however you call that, nature, life, spirit, universe. And once it starts to channel through you, for me, it just brings so much more expression, so much more like freedom to express. And I like to ask, bro. I like to pray. I connect. I call it connecting with my spirit guides. I believe in spirit, a higher intelligence that operates through us, and this divine intelligence. We can commune with that place through actually speaking to it and asking, "Use me today in service of the highest good. I'm a clear channel today, spirit guides. I'm open to receiving your guidance. Work through me." And just saying a little prayer at the start of the day, connecting in the heart, and just feeling I get goosebumps just saying that prayer because it just opens the channel for something greater than us to orchestrate, to move us. And you just surrender. You go, all right, move me. I'm here. So yeah, dude, that's kind of my process. I think that was what your question was, but curious to know what your process is and how you commune with that place.
Yeah, I have this so present in my mind because I we just put out an interview with Matt Kahn. He's a spiritual teacher, intuitive empath. And when asked about, the spiritual ego, we were talking about that. And for me, having sometimes back-to-back interviews and, having to read a book in a couple of days because there's an interview coming up, and, I'll just get this download of information in my intellect, and then I'll have it. I'll probably like regurgitate some words. I'll probably repeat some of the quotes that I read in that book, and then boom, I'm fine. But then I realized that, that journey from going from the intellect to the heart, which another teacher, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's the one that kind of helped me tap into my heart, and through his meditations, that was when I think the channel started opening up a little bit more, because the channel is not in our head. We think like, oh, if God is up here, then, our head, our intellect, I'm talking about like the brain, not necessarily like the energy centers, but when we're tapped into our heart, that's when intuition can speak through us. That's when our spirit guides are listening and there for us whenever things go wrong, or we need, that lifeboat. Our heart is that electromagnetic frequency that expands meters and meters beyond our body. So for me, it was really going from that 3 meter, what is it, like couple inch, 12-inch journey from my head to my heart, that my channel started to open up. And I think that's when we're able to, find that we are in service to the people that we're around. And it's a beautiful thing,
It really is, man. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Joe Dispenza, because he had a tremendous impact on my life as well. And just like, once you find the process of unlocking your heart and just opening it and like surrendering into that opening, you realize that what's down there, your default state as a human being, is gratitude, love, freedom, joy, compassion. That's our default state. And when you just like let go of the things that are blocking that from coming through, these elevated emotions just naturally arise. You don't really have to do anything. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's not even, gratitude is not work. It's who you are.
Yeah.
So it can be that simple. It is that simple, I think we can often overcomplicate this work. We can overcomplicate the whole, like, connect with your spirit guides, connect with source, No, it's there all along. Just allow it to come through.
Yeah.
Just slow down. Slow down. That's often the thing, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing that you probably learned being in the corporate world, is that I think the phrase slow down doesn't exist, because it's always go, 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 push. We need more profit. We need to get up on this strategy, and we need to get more clients. We need to do this, do. So that process of slowing down, I've heard also in one of your videos, you mentioned how when we're constantly in this rush, we can fall back more into our unconscious patterns, and by slowing down, we can even stay more present and unwind those unconscious patterns. The unconscious patterns are the ones that are most likely held in the lower nature, the lower emotions, because it comes from our limbic brain. It comes from our, million-year-old brain that is telling us, you need to fight, you need to fucking get out of there, you need to just like freeze, you need to get food, you need to have sex, you need to do all these things. So from coming out of the corporate world, what was it like for you to go from that rush doing mindset into maybe more of that, or tuning into more of that like freeness, being, traveling even? What was that like detachment like for you?
It was challenging, bro. Really challenging. Like I thought, because when I left the corporate world, I reached a point where I was very content. I was very like, I'd mastered the ability to just bring presence and joy into my day and just accept, okay, this is what I do for now. And it unlocked something in that period of my life where I found fulfillment. And that's when I knew it was time for me to leave. I was like, okay, I've got the lessons from this stage, this stage of my journey. It's time for me to leave. And it wasn't until like I started my online business where I was faced with a lot of the patterns that were down there that were coming from the conditioning of like, you have to work 9 to 5 to be productive. This is what, and if you're not working, you're being lazy, and all these like stories and beliefs started to come up. And I faced off with some really heavy stuff, anxiety, crippling anxiety that held me back for a long period of time. And it wasn't until I remember specifically a coach, and she's still a good friend of mine. She guided me through a session where she helped me connect with my inner child. And we had a conversation with my inner child and was talking to it around like, why does it keep me busy all the time? What does my inner child really want here? And we got to the core of it was my inner child was just trying to prove that he was worthy of receiving love. And his way of doing that was through achievement, through needing to make more money, needing to like make more content, do more things so that he could finally feel worthy of love. And in that session, I gave myself permission to just let go and receive that you are worthy of love in this moment right now. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to prove anything. You were born worthy. And the minute I just like that landed and I was able to let go of the pressure, this pressure I was putting on myself all the time, so much more lightness returned to my being, bro. My creativity went to the next level. My business started to go to the next level. And it was all from just let go. Just slow down and acknowledge that you don't have to get anywhere. You don't have to do anything. And you can just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Have fun. So it was challenging at first, but it was necessary. Really necessary to go through that.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a kind of weird question, because there's these moments in your life that kind of helped wake you up to like, all right, what's the next life lesson? Where's my next test at? And so I wanted to ask you, what does the red-tailed black cockatoo mean to you?
Oof. Man, I love how you've done your research on this. Like, seriously, it just lands straight in my heart as soon as I hear that, bro. It really means a lot knowing that you know that and you ask that question. But that bird holds so much meaning to me because it's a bird native to Australia, Western Australia. It's known as a very spiritual bird. And when I arrived home back in Australia after living in Canada for 2.5 years, I found myself going through some big lessons, and death showed up in my life around that time. A good friend of mine, same age, was on this path with me. We were hanging out, doing breath work and meditation. He had a motorbike crash randomly one Saturday night, and I got a phone call about his passing. And it was a really big wake-up call for me, and I received a lot from his death. And I found myself out in nature, sitting with medicine, 5-MeO DMT, which is a toad medicine. Yeah. And when I came back from that journey, that medicine journey, you pretty much dissolve. When you take this medicine, you dissolve for about 10 minutes. You kind of, your ego dies, you disappear into this other realm. It's a beautiful experience, but it's very terrifying as well. Yeah. And I remember getting reborn back into my body. And the first sound that I heard was this sound of this bird, this red-tailed black cockatoo. And I just fucking burst into tears, bro. Like, cried. Like, I felt like I was being born again back into this life. And it was so special. And fast forward 6 months later, I'm doing a mushroom journey, taking a very large dose of magic mushrooms. And I had
heroic dose,
bro. It was fucking huge. And I had the same experience. My ego dissolved. I had this death, and I was convinced I wasn't coming back to planet Earth. And throughout that dissolving, I kept having images of my friend who passed away. It kept coming through. I kept thinking about him. I was like, wow, what's going on here? And when I was reborn again after that medicine journey, I'd never felt so clear on my purpose in life. I'd never felt so clear around like, this is what I'm here to do. His flame, his spark that still lived on inside of me was burning so strong because he was such a passionate leader. And again, it was that bird was always showing up in divine moments throughout these big stages of my life. Yeah. So yeah, it just represents transformation. It represents that he is still with me. It represents that spirit life is with me, guiding me. And we all have spirit animals, I believe. And when you discover what yours is, it shows up in really poignant times in your life. So thank you for asking that question, and thank you for doing your research on that.
Yeah, for sure, brother. We had a shaman on the show. Her name is Allison Charles, and she wrote a book called Power Animals. She's clairvoyant, so she has the ability, and she's a shaman, so she can kind of traverse these realms. And she connects a lot with the animal realm, the power animals especially. So, she has this amazing compilation of 100 of those animals. And kind of during the podcast, she did a reading on me and the cockroach. No, grasshopper. My bad. The grasshopper. Oof. The grasshopper kept coming up. And I saw it, no joke, like 5 times in about a month after, she mentioned that was the animal that wanted to connect with me the most. Represents like you're ready to step into greater levels of abundance and intuition. So it was beautiful when she pulled that out. And you mentioned the word purpose. Also, we share this like book that has impacted both of us, the new work. And I was reading the last couple of pages. He mentions that we all have a primary and a secondary purpose in life. If you want to highlight, what do you perceive as being that primary purpose for you, and how do you begin to cultivate and unlock that?
Yeah, another great question. And understanding that was really what unlocked me from my corporate job. I felt stuck in it for a long time. I had so much resistance to it. And it was that portion of his book that really landed something for me, which is your purpose is right now. Like we all share that. Our purpose is here. Like me being on this call is my primary purpose in life in this moment, And until we can fully surrender into that and let go of thinking we need to be somewhere else, let go of resisting whatever form this moment takes, you then unlock your secondary purpose, which is maybe there's some unique expression that's trying to come through you right now that can only come through when you embrace and accept this moment fully. And that's what happened with my corporate job. I was like, okay, all right, I'm an accountant. Right now, I'm an accountant and I'm meant to be here at this job. And I'm going to embrace and accept and love all of it. And a completely different dimension in my life opened up, bro. It's called the vertical dimension, right? The present moment is the vertical dimension.
Because there's no time, no space.
Yeah, exactly. So, oh man, just once that lands, once you understand that is the point of life, is to be so fully in this moment that you no longer care so much about like how this moment looks. You just like receive it fully. You have way more fun. More fun. So much less resistance. So it's just a reminder now, right? Once you understand that, you just got to keep reminding yourself, because it can be very, very easy to get sucked back up into the horizontal dimension, which is like, I need to achieve that goal. I won't be full until I hit that target, but you'll get there, and it will be just another present moment where you're like, okay, am I receiving this moment fully? Am I whole in this moment? Because if you're not whole now, you're not going to be whole in 1 year's time when you have $1 million and 200,000 Instagram followers or whatever. So yeah, it's just a reminder, isn't it?
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that, he says in the book that the primary purpose for everyone, because right now humanity is going through a massive, evolution and shift in consciousness, and there's a new species arising. And I think as, the tail end of that generation, we're also here to help bridge these two new worlds, new earths that are being created right now. He said that everyone's purpose is to awaken. And then he defines awakening as the process of when your thoughts become separate from awareness. Because you mentioned it, that the horizontal dimension is the thinking dimension. Because when we're thinking, we're either thinking about the past or we're thinking about the future. There's never this awareness of the present moment. So when we realize that our thoughts are always going to be there, they're always going to unravel in our egos, in our mind, then when we get to separate from that, thinking mind to the analytical mind, now to the more emotional, the more unconscious realm, that's when, we have quantum leaps in our life. We go from the one client to now working, on stages and helping millions of people. Like, those are the quantum leaps, but they can only happen when we're aware instead of in the thinking brain all the time.
100%. Yeah. And the thinking brain is time, right? Like you every time you have a thought, I think it's in Indian philosophy, like some of the yogis out in India, is like every time you have a thought, that's another, you die. So part of you dies because you're in the time dimension. You're slowly decaying every time you have a thought. That's time ticking by, another second ticking by. But if you're not thinking, you're in the timeless dimension. You're in a place where everything and nothing exists, and that's our source. That part of us will never die. That part of us is infinite. So it's refreshing for me to know that, like, hey, when it's our time to leave this physical plane, if you've already got in contact with the timeless dimension, there's no surprise. This body dies for sure, but like the awareness, the consciousness that's always really here, that goes nowhere. It's always there. And that to me is a freeing thought,
Yeah. One of the biggest aspects of the spiritual path is learning about relationships. I think every relationship is a spiritual awakening in its own right. I've made a lot of mistakes in my past relationships, with past, romantic, serious girlfriends. I know when you were 18, you also went through a big heartbreak. For me, it was about, around 21, that really kind of awoke me, shifted me, the way that I was doing things, the way that I was relating to women and to myself even. And, I wanted to just start unpacking that aspect of relationships, because I think as men, we can't truly be confident. We can't truly be in that magnetic, attractive energy when we don't know how to treat ourselves and women in general. So, what advice would you give young men to begin changing that energetic potency within us as men to be able to relate with women even better?
Yeah, relationships are huge, man. Relationships are such a initiation into what it takes to be a leader, right? My relationship has tested me and expanded me in so many different ways. And I love the feminine so much, man. I love the women in my life. I love just the beauty, so much beauty in women. And they teach us so much. They give us so much, right? And we can only receive that love from them to expand us if we're willing to be the spark for them. Like we as the masculine awaken that spark in the woman. And I think if you've been in a relationship for long enough, you'll see your partner is always mirroring back what you're bringing. If you show up unconscious and tired, you're not giving her the presence and the love
indecisive.
Yeah, she'll fucking mirror that back to you, and she won't give you that love. You won't receive that nourishment from her. So I feel what I've noticed or learned from relationships is like, it's us, man. Full responsibility. I take full ownership for everything. When the relationships break down, that's me. That's my job to fix myself so I can show up more powerfully for her, to support her and what she's going through. It's just clarity, dude. Like as men, we must just gain clarity internally. And that requires work. It's just commitment work to just show up for yourself consistently. And I made a lot of mistakes for sure in that realm where I've spent so much of my energy and I'm not able to be present in the relationship, and it always ends up in pain. So my advice to men who are in relationships is like, really clarify yourself, really know what your truth is internally, spend more time alone with yourself so you can come to that understanding, and then bring that truth to the relationship and lead your woman. She's looking to be led by you. And that creates that polarity, which in my opinion is the attraction. I've been with my partner for 7 years and I'm still so attracted to her because of that polarity that we have. Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't think anyone ever masters relationship. It's just like an ongoing learning, but yeah, I love it. It's teaching me so much. And yeah, if we can have more men stepping into being leaders in their relationship, you'll find that women can flourish. Yeah, they come alive.
You talked about truly seeing women. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, we can't see, if you think of a female in their essence as feminine, in our essence as masculine. We all have masculine, feminine qualities within us. But if you can't see your partner in her emotions, which are a feminine quality, it's because you haven't seen your own emotions. You haven't seen yourself. You haven't connected with your own feminine qualities. So until a man is able to embody and integrate his feminine, his feelings, he's not going to be able to really see his partner, because she's expressive, she's emotionality, she's constantly changing. And those constant changes can be chaotic at times, right? Like the female is like moving and changing in her emotional experience all the time. And that will be overwhelming to the man if he hasn't made peace with his own feelings. That'll overwhelm him. So yeah, the deeper you can see yourself, the deeper you can see your partner, and the more safer she'll be around you to just like open to that. Like, wow, she can be so full in your presence because you've got her. You can hold the container for her,
Yeah. And as men, I think we face a lot of these like avoidant behaviors. For example, if a woman's being too emotional, then the avoidant man would just maybe leave the house or look the other way because, she's, dealing with her stuff, instead of like bringing that presence into, all right, how can I hold space for you? We talked a lot about that with Matt Kahn. His recent book was all about like holding space, doing instead of fixing, which was how my recent relationship broke down, where I was trying to fix everything. She was going through a situation in her life that, I had no control over, but I wanted to have control over. A family member in her life developed cancer. And my reaction was, let me fix it. I have all these books that you can read. You should watch this documentary because it teaches you about the mind-body connection, all these things, information that I knew, but not necessarily going through that holding space process of seeing her for what she was going through, because she was crying all the time. And my avoidant nature, because I wasn't, as you said, like being and seeing myself when I was emotional or not allowing myself to, then I couldn't sustain that. I couldn't, match that energy. It was too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful lesson for you, man. And like, it's so great that you've now come to this realization in your path at such an early age, because as you continue to attract more women into your life, you can take them so much deeper within themselves. Again, like, because you're doing this work, we're the leaders, right? We're leading women into deeper levels of pleasure, deeper levels of joy and expression within themselves. Because most females have never been in the presence of a man who's embodied deeper levels of pleasure and joy expression within himself.
Yeah.
We're sort of a rare breed at the moment, bro. So this is why this conversation, like men just speaking about this stuff, is so, so needed. And it just, yeah, bro, it fills my heart so much that this is so strongly our purpose right now,
Yeah. And I agree with you, because I wanted to ask you, this is something that also has come up, where we are allowing space for a woman to go deeper, and there's a certain friction or resistance, maybe in her, maybe in ourselves, because we're mirroring each other in a certain way. But what would you call that when a woman is resistant to receiving all of that love that you're willing to offer?
Yeah, it's most likely some of her wounding that's getting in the way. And if the man has done enough work on himself, then again, it's his responsibility to hold her through that. To be like, I know this is uncomfortable for you, and I can see there's something coming up for you right now. I'm here for you. I got you. And just being that space of like, I'm not going anywhere. You can express, you can cry, you can let out whatever you need to, but I'm here with you. And it takes, it's just presence, bro. That's all it is. It's just to be able to be there as a safe presence for your partner in her process, and eventually, she will unlock and unravel and let that go. And if she's not able to do that around that man, that particular man, then cool. Maybe that's not the relationship for it. And I think like as a partner, you get to take your partner, you get to work together on the relationship, but both have to kind of show up in their own way. And if one person is not willing to do the work and they're not willing to show up for the relationship, then there comes a time where you have to go, okay, I've done all I can. I've done my best.
Yeah.
And you part ways. But yeah, I think it's the individual and the couple need to come together to work on themselves.
Yeah. Big issue for men. Why are we so addicted to porn?
Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing about it because it is a big issue. It is a big issue, and it doesn't get spoken about a whole lot, but it's the first kind of thing that we get introduced to. Like, I don't know about you, man, but when I was like 14, 15, you discover porn and you're like, wow, what the hell is this thing?
They
like,
start us early on that drug, bro.
That's it, bro. Yeah, that's it. And it's a kind of a drug that we keep in hiding, right? We don't tell anyone. We sneak off, and when no one's home, we have the release, and the dopamine that gets released in the brain is just like so immense that it just overwhelms the system. And at a young age, it can be so overwhelming. And then you've got the conditioning that's being fed from that around what sex really is and what performance is for a man. And the real reason behind it is because men are not comfortable holding that level of overwhelming energy inside of their bodies. Going back to everything we've been speaking about so far, which is, can you be okay with just the anxiousness or the tension or this feeling of like, oh, I'm like so stressed right now, I need a release. But can you relax into that a little bit more instead of wanting to offload it through your porn or whatever it is that you do, your vice? Can you learn to just like be okay with it? I think that's what it is, bro. Men have associated like the release, the relaxation with watching porn and masturbating. And it's toxic because on the other side of that, you feel really depleted. It's an energetic depletion when you ejaculate as a man.
Yeah. It's all our creative energy. Because we literally use that energy to create a fucking child.
Yeah.
It's like
that is the most powerful energy on this planet, male sexual energy. And the minute you just start throwing that away willy-nilly, like just rub one out every day, you're giving your power away, giving your creative power away. So I think like it takes a lot of discipline for a man, and also commitment to be like, you know what, I'm going to go into that thing that I've been avoiding. Instead of like just numbing myself from it, what is it? Just like, what is that thing I'm not willing to be with? And that's the first step. And the support, there's now support out there, so much support that a man can receive to help him go into that. But it needs to be spoken about more, right? Because when it's kept in hiding, it's just like, man, it's like doing it in the hiding, and it's sneaky.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. It needs to be addressed. It's not a healthy behavior at all.
Yeah. What about the dude that is asking like, yeah, but Jordan, does that mean that I'm not gonna, what was the phrase they used? Pull the willy or something?
Rub one out or something.
Rub one out. Yeah. He's like, like, Jordan, what now? What do I do? Is there another way? Is there an alternative? Like, what can men do as an alternative to that?
Well, the biggest lesson I took from this, Emil, was the outcome that we are often stuck in when it comes to sex, when it comes to life, that horizontal dimension, right? I'm trying to get to this destination, which in this case is ejaculation. You're completely in your head. You're thinking about how soon can I get to that point of climax? And you're missing that vertical dimension, right? So cool, you can rub one out, you can touch your penis and feel it and do whatever the hell you want with it, but let go of the idea that there's an outcome. Can you just touch yourself because it feels good? Let go of the idea that ejaculation is needed. Yeah, that becomes a deeper level of self-pleasure that you get to embody. And then think about when you go into having a relationship with a female and having sex with a female, and you're now no longer thinking about, oh, I have to come. When am I going to come? When's that going to happen? And you're just there in the moment with her, feeling the pleasure of the whole process. It unlocks so much more in your life. Yeah. And that same principle applies to everything else, your business, what you're trying to achieve, your goals. Let go of the outcome. Cool, you can have an outcome, but just let go of needing to achieve it. Just enjoy the process. Life is way better. It's way funner.
Yeah.
There's so much more depth.
Yeah, what's coming up is like how much of that is due to habit and programming and beliefs, that we just do it because it's our unconscious nature. Well, it is ruled by our unconscious, like wanting to procreate is an unconscious need and conscious need.
Big time.
So it's like if we grew up since we were 14 to 15, thinking that every single day we had to get in that release or else it wasn't a fulfilled day, just as like maybe something like meditation is for us. We say, fuck man, if I didn't meditate today, I'm going to be a little little bit more of a dick with my family or with that person on the street. It could be the same thing with ejaculation and masturbation.
Big time.
How much of it is a habit, you know?
Big time, dude. Yeah, for sure. And the habit gets normalized because you grow up around friends that are also doing the same thing. And you're like, oh, this is just what guys do. But that is part of the toxic conditioning that's coming from the old consciousness, the old masculine energy. It's that toxic element it's not going to exist in the new world. It doesn't work. You can see it. It's that toxic masculine energy is they're sacrificing themselves. They're ignoring their body, right? That's the fundamental principle of it. If you listen to your body and just feel into, okay, what is that emotion that's trying to be felt? And instead of running from it, actually going into it, what comes out the other side is so much more joy and love, so much more authenticity in who you are. But we're not taught that. No one teaches us that shit at school. You know, we never got taught that. So
yeah. Even when we look at like movies or role models, you know, I grew up, you know, I'm like the older end of the like Generation Z, and I grew up watching Disney Channel. Growing up in the United States, I was living there for 16 years, and I would grow up on these channels, these shows on Disney, and now like looking back, I begin to ask myself, like, those were the dudes that I was looking up to. Yeah. Those were actually the dudes that I was like, oh, he's getting those girls, or he's, you know, getting that popularity because he acts like this, and that's not the man that we want to create. So what is a vision for you regarding this new masculinity that is emerging in the world right now?
To me, it's the spiritual warrior, bro. Like for me, you know, so I used to play soccer. Soccer is the sport that I love. It's my passion, you know, like grew up wanting to play professional, made it to semi-professional, and I would admire some of those like warriors on the field, like some of my favorite players, and just acknowledge like, wow, look at the strength that they have and how they show up. And you can apply the same principle of how an athlete shows up as a warrior. And we admire that so much though. But what if we take that essence and apply it into, how can I be just a warrior for my internal world, to be a leader, a well-rounded leader, a man that's willing to face off with his own darkness, a man that's willing to stretch himself to the limit so he can be a greater vessel of life for his community, for his family, and be a well-rounded man, you know. And that's my vision. Like I look at the men who are doing really big things in this world and creating like change, creating massive change, but doing it from a place of love, not a place of like, I need to, you know, have my needs met externally through some form of achievement. It's like men doing this just from a place of love. It takes courage. It's a different kind of courage. Yeah. We admire the athletes because they have courage in like pushing themselves physical pain. But what about like the emotional pain? Can they go just as deep in that area? That to me is a true spiritual warrior. Test himself physically, emotionally, mentally, going to the edges. And then you come back on the other side like rock solid. Like you're good. Not a whole lot of things can shake you, you know, when you explore those extremes.
Yeah. I'm really curious. I'm really curious because, you know, I said the part about the Disney Channel, but I also did have a lot of, you know, role models that I looked up to, especially athletes, as you mentioned, because I grew up playing basketball. My dream was to play in college and professional. When I was 16, my parents moved to Colombia. I was playing varsity in the United States. I was getting scouted by some like Division II, Division III coaches, and I wanted to play in college. But one of my biggest like dudes that I would look up to in the NBA, in the league, was Kobe Bryant. You know, his mentality, like, and I apply that discipline, not only as I did when I was training and I was practicing. I would like always want to be more disciplined and outwork everyone on the court. And I know that belief now in my present life has deterred me a little bit, because it's again that mentality of like you have to be the hardest worker instead of allowing that flow to come in. But I was really curious about like if you were to put out like your A team of men that you would consult with as that example, those leaders in society today? Who would be your A team?
Before I answer that, you just brought up a really great point, and I think this is what's so beautiful about what's happening right now. Is like, we look at our role models, the discipline and hard work that Kobe had to get to where he was, but then we take that, we get inspiration from that and take it into, how can I apply that to just being my best self every single day?
Yeah.
And if there's some discomfort that I don't want to feel, like, okay, how can I bring that mentality of like, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to face off with all of my fears, all of that discomfort, and just be so disciplined with staying in alignment.
Yeah.
Like, it's a new level of discipline, bro. Aligned discipline, committed to always making sure you stay in your center. And when you get knocked off center, do you have the courage to be like, I'm going to say no to that so I can come back home to myself? So I take a lot of inspiration from that mentality of like athletes, and putting it into just, our inner work, and our
aligned discipline. Aligned discipline. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So my A team of men right now, I get a lot of inspiration from people like Aubrey Marcus and what he's doing. I listen to his podcast a lot. I just think his what he's putting out into the world is so inspiring. I get a lot of inspiration from people like Shervin Jeffriah, who's the founder of Symbiotica. I use a lot of his supplements. His health and wellness knowledge and wisdom is like so deep, and because health is a big part of this journey, right? Like in optimizing our body to be as efficient and as to hold as much energy as we can. So people like him, people like Paul Chek, who's just like such a well-rounded man, and I think about like this vast knowledge and wisdom he has. They're the few that come to mind straight away. I'm sure there'll probably be a lot more that start to pop through, but yeah, there's some powerful men out there, bro, leading the way.
It's cool because maybe a couple of centuries ago or a couple of decades ago, we would only have access to the men in our tribes, so the leaders in our tribes. But now we're this collective, huge 8 billion people tribe, and we have access to the internet where we can actually connect with people that are on the other side of the world and listen to their most intimate conversations, just as we're doing right now. Like, bro, the world is there's so much light that's coming in. I know we're in very chaotic times right now, but that's part of the old paradigms having to collapse. They have to collapse in order for the new earth. I'm looking at the book right now to emerge. So Jordan, we end every episode with a segment called the Final Trio, which are very rapid fire questions. You can answer in any way you want. But before that, people may want to be like, bro, I want to learn more about this dude. So where can they connect with you? Where can they access all your content? We'll link everything in the show notes, but where would you send people to go to?
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate this. This conversation has been really nourishing and so well-rounded. So thank you for having me on. The main links for me is Jordan Candlish 01. That's me on Instagram and TikTok. They're my two main platforms, posting content pretty consistently on there. And then my podcast is called the State Shifters Podcast. Posting episodes on there relatively frequently as well. So yeah, hit me up if you resonate with what I'm sharing. Would love to connect. And I do men's coaching. So I have a men's coaching program that I run every kind of few months, and that's just like fucking fills my heart, bro, to see men stepping into this work. So they're the main platforms right now.
Yeah. So you just launched the men's embodiment program in June or July. How was that?
Correct.
When can we expect when's the next one coming?
So good. Yeah. So I'm just about to finish the second cohort. So I had 14 amazing guys in this round, and I'm seeing men transform, bro, on the other side of it. Like, I'm seeing leaders being born on the other side of it. And to me, there is nothing more fulfilling than that. So the next round will probably start in November. So if there's guys listening to this, hit me up and we can get you on the wait list for November. Also playing with the idea of potentially starting a female embodiment academy. Most of my audience is women, 65% women. So my dream is to have a male cohort and a female cohort, guiding them through this process of building a stronger relationship with themselves, and then, have like a retreat or have an in-person experience where I can bring like the graduates, bring the men and the women together and just create some magic, man. Because I know women are looking for more men stepping into this work. So they're out there, ladies. They're out there. Have faith.
They're out there. Yeah. We gotta get one together out in Colombia.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful space we have there. Now for the final trio, brother. The first one is kind of adapted from Tim Ferriss, the billboard question. So if you were given a billboard or the chance to do a billboard in front of every corporate office in the world, what would you put on that billboard to help all these corporate workers that are walking into office every single day shift from stress and survival to inner peace and inner freedom? What would that billboard say?
Yeah, I used to listen to Tim Ferriss's podcast a lot, so I've heard a lot of people answer this question. So I'm gonna try and select something that is really meaningful to me. And I'm trying to think what I would have wanted to receive when I was going to my commuting to my job every day. Freedom is on the other side of the emotions you're afraid to feel.
I had to let that process for sure. Fucking for sure. Yeah. All right, final trio number 2. If you had one magic wand to eradicate any toxic or unconscious pattern that is holding people back from having the most heart-centered relationships with themselves and with others, what would that be? What would you eradicate?
I would eradicate the unconscious need to look for someone or something external to make you feel whole. And I believe if once people realize that they're already whole on the inside, it's just reversing their awareness to look in and see that the inner child just wants to be loved and held by them, then relationships get to flourish in a whole new way, because we're not projecting our, we're not needing our needs to be met from someone else. And that allows more freedom in relationships, bro. So yeah, broad answer, but it's a universal one.
Yeah, I love that. The last one, we kind of do it on every podcast, is I ask the guests, if you found yourself in a room or in a space packed with the next generation of leaders, and this is, looking down a couple decades into the future, 2030, 2040, and you're looking back and you see these leaders, they're driven, they're eager to go out and, eat the world up and create new systems and kind of turn everything upside down in the best way possible for the evolution of humanity. And I gave you a microphone. What would you tell all these leaders?
I would say your soul chose to incarnate in this physical form for a very specific reason. And it is your job, it is your responsibility to find out what that reason is. Because once you know your purpose, your reason that you're here on earth right now, your mission becomes so much stronger. Your courage, your willingness to do whatever it takes becomes so much stronger. So don't forget that your life holds so much meaning. Your life has so much purpose. So yeah, don't forget how powerful you are.
Yeah, we're all here for a reason. I think people that are stepping up right now, it's just a matter of they woke up to that primary purpose, a little bit early. The next coming years, I think it's going to be like a domino effect, because your energy affects so many other people around you. Just the presence. We talk so much about presence in this podcast. The presence of us being in an area, even like us, like a big city right now, you being in Toronto, me being in Madrid, our energy is affecting the consciousness of the city just by us being here. And that's how important it is. And that's how much we can truly step into that essence and energy to radiate our inner freedom, our truth. So I really appreciated you for saying that, brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, it was a great conversation, brother.
Knew it would be, bro. Knew it would be. Yeah. Thank you for facilitating this. And I have full faith and trust that the right people will receive what they need to receive from this, and support them on their journey, maybe unlock something within themselves, and just keep spreading this word, spreading this truth. So you're doing amazing work, bro. So thank you so much for bringing me on.
You too, brother. You really truly inspired me. Seeing other younger men in this work and stepping up. Please continue that path. I know you will. We're all here supporting you. I see you, brother. Thank you for showing up today with your best energy, and I can't wait to do this again.
Hell yeah. Thanks again, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Peace.